The first customer was just, as Kari-san say, about just go to the event and talk to all the people and hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to pay this or not? What do you think? Or if you're not, just please connect other person. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go, right? You have to, connect somebody else. That's how I literally the paying the customers.
And even the American customer, it's a very big company. They tried our module at the fitness gym in the Dubai. They love it, and they tried to LinkedIn, and they asked me. That is totally different from the Japanese situation.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaori, the host of AI Founders Mindset. In this episode, you will learn how Kimmy landed his first paying customer and first investor check. Lessons every founder can take to heart. We talked about why face-to-face networking is still so critical in Japan. Kimmy also shares his perspective on cultural difference between Japan and the global market, from how Japanese enterprises expect perfection before adoption. So, how global customers embrace interaction, failure, and fast learning. This is a candid founder story about grind, fundraising, and doing global. Let's dive in.
I interviewed Kimmy this spring and I was fascinated how he got the first customer. If I remember correctly, you went to the networking event because as a Japanese business culture, in person is so important. And he went to there, hey, this is our even just MVP product. If possible, could you please try it? You asked to people, and then the company became your real customer and invest.
Right.
Could you please share this wonderful story?
So I would like to share about something about first customer and also first investment from Barry, because first of all, I would like to talk about Barry issues. So we are about to die, right? Our bank account was just literally for $5, and next week we're gonna die. And I talked to Barry, and first meeting, hey Barry, we would like to do this. This is our plan, and we're just have an attraction. This is cool, right? And then he talked me like, okay, that's nice. How much do you have? Oh, $5, and we're gonna grab next week. Oh my god! And then just send me the document, and then they send the 50K next week. So they saved me our life. And then eventually we raised, $1 million, Series A, 6 million or something. It goes in that. So I really appreciate for angels, because I didn't know that much for this startup and stock and also like the fundraising. I just talked to the pitch, and great thing is my kind of friends and connect with me with Very Great, this company. And they just saved me, so which I am kind of really happy. But I talk about my vision to everyone, right? Every person that I met, and then one person just connected with the value create. That's how it works. And the first customer was just, as Kari-san say, about just go to the event and talk to all the people and hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to pay this or not? What do you think? Or if you're not, just please connect other person. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go, right? You have to, connect somebody else. That's how I literally the paying the customers. And for our ACV, the average of the customer paying to us is right now is 2 million, right? 2 million per customer. But at the time was how much is that? 50,000. Sorry, no. How much is that per Goseien? So 5,000. Yeah, something is very, very small. So we start small amount, but it needs the money, right? Does customer want to pay for this product? And even that's not 100 million, but does customer pay want to this? And they pay to us, and then next week, I talk to them. So we build a new feature. Do you want to pay this? Okay, and then in total, we just raised for 10,000 USD, and that's our first customers. We have right now it's like 3 million ARR after like last year. So we just are doing really good job. But enterprise company, you need a face-to-face. Japanese company, like enterprise, it needs very face-to-face. And then also like business connecting, it's not on LinkedIn. It's not on like email. It's definitely for conference. Just talk to who you really are and then who you really actually connecting with other Japanese person, right? I'm connecting with a Ninami-san, Sanjay, so but now it's a Ninami-san, it's not good. But anyways, like it's something like that's how you make the customers. You want to go like how do you find the customers in globally, I guess.
Okay, yeah, how to find customer here? I think for I guess the global market, just of course having customer from referrals or just do recently, especially for more marketing is really important. Especially I think that right now the video marketing or the more LinkedIn marketing, something like that is really matters. So in Japan it doesn't work. This is coming from because so global market there are so many people who can reach out to, and then but in Japan the number of the target customer or the segment is quite limited. So for example, if you are in the gaming industry and you keep attending conference, okay, I think that if you keep attending similar conference, similar months, I think that almost everywhere you can know, right? But in US or global market, it's quite difficult. So there are so many people, and then once you send them many cold reach out emails, still there are so many targets still. So that's why so cold reach outs is really effective in US and global market. But in Japan, number is quite limited, and then the rumor is spread out quite easily. So just do more communication carefully, and then just they are with more deeper conversation, right? So, anyway, so I think that difference between how to reach out to customer in Japan and the US.
Can I ask you something about for the American companies? What's the progress of their thinking about pay or not? Like we call it ringi, right? And like we're just connecting. Oh, looks we could go. Or just how do you decide this person can buy or not? What's the kind of reaction that you're just watching from them?
Yeah, so first it depends on the enterprise or not, but basically, so there is of course no ringgit in Europe, global market, right? So just the decision maker decide how much they can pay.
Right.
And so if they are interested in trying things, just we can say, hey, please pay this money or something like that, and they or if taking the first customer is tough, it's just we can offer in the kind of the customer advisory or something like that. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So but
I see.
yeah. So don't need to do secure ringi, right? So when ringi game, just talking with many people and then make agreement beforehand is really important. So for example, when it comes to my customer in Japanese enterprise gaming. And to secure, for example, Square Enix, we need to talk with the AI department and the producer and their partner company at the same time, right? So this is how to do business in Japan, but in US don't need to do that. Just talk with a more decision maker and secure them. So how to secure it is completely different. That's why, So just to take one person quite deeply, giving the customer advisory report or something is quite helpful in that case.
And even the American customer, it's a very big company. They tried our module at the fitness gym in the Dubai. They love it, and they try to link in, and they ask me. That is the totally different from the Japanese situation. And we started, and as he told, the CTO is responsible of everything. So now we installed his room, and he bring his people, his team, or sometimes the finance people. They bring his room, and he ask, and he reply. So in Japan, I know that because I belong the big company for a long time. I know the ringgit, and I make how to make the ringgit. But then we don't need the ringgit, but we have to answer the every department question. Sometimes GPR, it's the rule of the 個人情報. So that kind of asking, we have to answer every thing.
I just want to correct Kimmy's not here. But actually, I remember the conversations we had around that. And it was a two-stage conversation. We were looking at the investment, and then we had the conversation, and you said, okay, we're really stuck. And myself and Chet, who's one of the co-founders of Value Create, we had a conversation internally. We said, we just have to support you because we really believed in what you did. And we really believed that no matter how bad it was going to get, you would always find a way out. You would always be able to solve the problem because you had a great way to communicate, and a great way to talk to investors. And this is really, really important, right? Understanding that you actually have to balance this kind of panic-stricken, brutal honesty with the ability to still say, "Hey, I can do this," right? And that was Kimmy. I think it's really from looking at as a founder, taking my investor hat off, like the level of graft required. So like I said, I'm from Ireland. Ireland is the size, the market in Ireland is the size of Yokohama, right? That's it. So we had no choice but to go global. And when you have no choice but to go global, you pull every damn string that you can find. So I'm not particularly Irish in terms of how I present myself. I've worked with Americans, I've worked all over the world all the time. But as soon as I met an Irish American, oh, how are you? Yeah, it's great to meet you now. I'm selling you games. So like I would play the Irish card really heavy. And if I knew I couldn't play the Irish card, I wouldn't play the Irish card. And I would use every potential contact that I had to get in and then ensure that once I was in, execute as well as somebody who was in the office next door. Execution is everything. Particularly in our case, we were dealing with a lot of large telcos. We were selling games. This is our first business with Hiroshi. We were selling games, but they had to go via the telcos. So we had to be 100% reliable. We had to prove that reliability. And I think if you can leverage a contact to get a chance at opening your international doors, leverage the contact, and then prove that you can execute, things will flow from there, particularly for on a B2B basis.
Can I ask you something? So also when you talk about the Irish, right? And so Stripe is the biggest unicorn, decacorn company from Ireland. But in Japan, when we start for the Japanese market, we make the prototype and UI, UX, it's just very Japanese nice, right? But you guys, when Irish companies start prototyping, do you kind of just talk to a user in Ireland or other? Like, how do you?
We would never talk to users in Ireland. We made a point of not talking to Irish users.
But in English,
we were building consumer software. So we had maybe a total market scale of 1,000 customers sometimes. So Ireland had an advantage that all the US software companies were building software in Ireland, still are. Started out as a tax advantage, they stayed for the weather. So there's a really, really great software community that's oriented towards building international software. And I think that was one of the advantages that we had. Would we do design of software? Absolutely. We would have to test on a global basis. We had, by the time we sold the company, 250 million users, right? 250 million users. 50% of those were in the US. So obviously we had to test in the US to make sure that all of our licensors, so Disney, Marvel, Eric Carl, all of those licensors were all in the US. We had to test in that market because that was where we were going to make our revenue. Probably of the remaining, maybe 25% in Europe, including, in Europe. And then the rest all over the world. So we had to think global from the outset, but that was because we were on an island, as I said, the size of Yokohama. So it's not a huge place. We had to think global from the start. I think one of the challenges with Japan, it's big enough, right? So you can make the software for Japan. You can IPO your business with $10 million revenue, which is wrong. Right? I mean, it's great to get a small exit, and I've sold 2 companies, both of them are small exits. But if you really want to get big, as you said at the start, you have to think huge, and therefore you have to think user experience from the ground up. Now, I think Japan is much better than it was 20 years ago when we were building Upstart Games, myself and Hiroshi. We would get this UX software from Japan, which we licensed, and say, we have to completely rebuild this. I think modern social media has created this environment where we actually now have a good sense of what good looks like globally, right? So, if your software doesn't feel like Instagram or TikTok, you're doing something wrong. You are not going to win globally unless you have software that feels that good. And that's a fact about it.
Interesting.
More comments on that?
Do you have?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. As for customers, so just I want to say. Okay. I think that have you ever used Calendly, right? So yeah, application for the calendar. So yes. Okay.
So it used to be great and now it's terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
UX?
Yeah, UX. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. As for calendar, I think that many users use it, and that's a kind of quite huge company, right? And then, but okay. If you want to see the difference between US and Japan, okay, you can see the Japanese version of the Calendly. So, okay, for example, when I share the Calendly with Japanese people, they're really afraid of using it. Oh, can I choose a slot from here? Is it okay? And then, okay, I didn't get any response from here, so it's okay. So they are really afraid of using Calendly. But the Japanese version of
Because they think it's rude? Choose the slot or?
They have a bunch of the alternative product, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and but so this quite show that the concept of efficiency is quite efficiency or UX is quite different. So in global markets, UX means a less process and easy to use without any explanation. But
Simple UI.
Yes.
yeah, but in Japan, the good UX is a more kind. So for example, okay, before setting the meetings, okay, this slot looks really comfortable for him. So okay, it's better to choose this, something like that. So to give it more confirmation, the more kind of process, but it increases the number of steps, right? But so this is just coming from the who is the target. So innovator, okay, they don't mind it, so they catch up the things and then can use the product quite easily. But so for more less innovative segments, they are really afraid of using the new concepts. So just require more kind of explanation. So this is so yeah, that's why we should too much focus on Japanese side of B2C users because there are less number of early innovators who can adopt a new concept without less explanation.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
Great
I
observation.
comment. Yeah, this is a really good one. Also, like I noticed that when I just visited from San Francisco, right, there is Uber, and I talked to the Uber driver. The Uber driver doesn't speak English, and hey, can you go to the not Espanol, so he was Spanish, right? But he was using Uber for the English version, which I felt is just the language. It doesn't. So their US has a lot of the people, right? Even they speak Spanish, they speak Korean, they speak Chinese. They don't even actually speak English. But the UI is very simple. The no language they can use. But Japanese is high context, right? If you just read that, you could imagine for Yahoo and Google. I'm just afraid if you work at Yahoo, I'm sorry. But it's a very simple, right? And Yahoo and Google and also Amazon and Rakuten. It's a very kind of context text and also like UI. It's just a very context driven. So I really completely agree that kind of the product is very simple and it also user have a very high like kind of knowledge of software. That's why the AI is also a lot of the people trying to use, even the engineer using Cursor, Devin, or Copilot, or those things. So I talked with them like a little bit different perspective, but so I talked with the OpenAI Japan religion. So good narrative, OpenAI chat. There's a two revenue, right? So one is the chatbot, the SaaS, and then second is the API, right? The OpenAI revenue and over the world, chatbots number 2 is Japan. Actually, a lot of the enterprise are using chatbot. On the other hand, on the API, Japan is ranked 16.
Wow.
Number 1 is the US, second is actually India. Because a lot of the software engineers are using API for ChatGPT themselves, right? And Japan is basically using chatbot. They ask and they respond, that's it. So it's not about kind of more tech-driven person is using API. It's more of an easy to use. What do they do, right? So it's kind of like different. It's not about kind of software. Maybe like my point is a software knowledge and then also like language issue. That's what I'm thinking about. Liv is struggling to go to the global as day one. But on the other hand, a lot of the company are trying to get in Japan. They fail. For example, LinkedIn, right? There's a 1 billion user in LinkedIn, but just only 4 million in Japan market, right? Because they fail for language transformation. There's already Mixi, there's already Facebook. Facebook success for the language kind of localization, right? And so this is kind of like I would like to add that go global from Japan, and we have to like seriously think about language issues and also like a culture issues. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching our episode today. We hope this conversation will help your future and career. If you like it, please subscribe us and give you a like. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye bye. またね。Ciao.